Hello there and welcome to issue number 101, and this issue is all about the Cancerian dragon, and prior to the video were the dates you have to be in this Western and Eastern astrological combination. If there's anybody that were 12 years, 24, 36 years before the first date I put up, and you want to know those dates, or you've got your mother or your grandmother or whoever, and you want to know if they were this combination, just message me on here, or if there's anything you want to know about this video, any comments, I'll gladly, answer any questions, and, it's just great to have feedback anyway. So, this issue is all about this combination, the Cancer Dragon. Okay, let's start in the beginning. Well, as we spoke about the Cancer in the past, as a child, they can fluctuate from being quite timid, particularly shy, not really ones that would, want to front the class, or indeed getting a lot of communication in a group setting. They're not that sort of style of child, but occasionally they are, and this is just basically this child getting used to its moon, the phases of the moon, where a Cancerian once or twice a month can have a tetchy, moody or quite aggressive period, so you really have to watch out for these. They're very rare, and I say in the early days of the child, so they're first starting school, you may see some real sharp mood swings. You don't know where it's come from, but it's just them adjusting emotionally to these atmospherics and the stuff that goes on, the nature of the moon. And when that's at near its fullest, not when it's full, but near its fullest, that could be very tetchy and sometimes a little bit sullen, and that's when the Cancer can be aggressive. It's quite unusual, but it does happen until they learn to harness it, and as the child goes along, emotionally they get used to this phase. It's something like a subliminal clock they have inside them when they know today or tomorrow ain't going to be my greatest day, so they tend to tuck themselves away a bit more, even more so as they get older. Well, you have to throw the dragon into the mix, and now the dragon is really capable of being whatever they want, because you've got the pinnacle of the Eastern astrology, the lucky one, the chosen one, the only mythical one. So it really is in their hands. If it goes wrong for the dragon, it's because they chose for it to go wrong. They chose to be over exuberant on that, or it's all down to them. They know when they've taken that one risk too many. So if we add this into the equation, you have a Cancerian that is a little bit more on the front foot, rather than, as I say, trying to get away in the corner, or just keeping out of groups, having one or two real close friends, and just likes to get on with it timidly in their own way. Not saying they wouldn't be bright, because they can be, but they're not willing to show everyone. Well, the dragon's a little bit more forthright. It's on the front foot, and it's a lot more confrontational, and that can be debating as well, not just fisticuffs or arguments, rows like that. They can debate, they hold up their own end, and they, they're willing to have a bit of back and forth. So this is a real different mix for the Cancer. The Cancer can find this quite a challenging combination for itself. Their mind can be a little bit helter-skelter, really, because, part of them saying, oh, I want to take a side step, but the other part saying, no, you push on, you front foot, and the dragon wins through. The dragon wins through this child, especially as they're trying to find this emotional phase that they're going through, getting used to the moons and the cycles. As they're going through into the teen years, they definitely will have a hardcore of friends, and they make an excellent friend, and they pick excellent friends. They're quite choosy. They have a hardcore, and they tend to pick the ones who they know are going to be behind their back, be with them, back to back, because they could take on a classroom and debate with 2 or 3, against the whole class. They don't mind that, because they're very confident. The dragon comes in, and as I say, it makes them tenacious. So as they've gotten older, they've harnessed their emotions a bit, because the dragon at the end of the day is practical in that sense of emotion. Yes, they're very generous, yes, they're very loving, but they're practical with their emotions and how they let others see it. So it calms the Cancer down in the eyes of others, where they think, oh, you know, are they that touchy? No, you know they're going to be touchy, because they're boom, they're frontal with it. They're not sulking away. They're like saying, no, you've annoyed me, you've hurt me this time, or you've irritated me. And they are very sort of forthright, but a lot more practical with it, rather than harbouring it, taking it home and feeling really low for a few days. They will mention it straight away. And it makes for, you know, okay, conflicts with the Cancerian, because the Cancerian saying, well, I don't know, sometimes they have that little bit of lack of confidence and that conviction, but the Dragon just pushes them through, enhances their tenacity, but makes them a lot more vocal. So this is a very good combination. In the end, the Cancerian finds they're going through university, college. It's possible, but this combination likes money. They like to be able to earn, they like to be able to feel the money in their hands to make their dreams and their plans come true. You know, as we've spoken maybe about the Cancerian, will plod through very diligently, rotating, ticking, and they will get to their position in the end. You know, they're not into pulling up trees or, you know, office dues, that sort of thing. They just like to clock on, clock off, and spend their time with their family. Well, this Dragon is a bit more ambitious in that sense, where they can really sense, you know, I'm going to achieve this, I want to achieve that. And I see writing at the forefront of this combination. Make an excellent writer, because, you know, behind closed doors, they can let the emotion of the Cancerian come into their writing. Fantastic then. And, you know, and the Dragon will put it into a nice, practical format and get it, boom, get it out there. So the Cancer isn't then, in effect, writing just for themselves, because some Cancerians can, because it's coded just for them. But with the Dragon, they make it, it's a lot more accessible, because the Dragon knows the bigger picture, it's born to succeed. So whatever element they choose, and I really like literature for the Cancer Dragon, I think it's an excellent way, whether it's fantasy or historically, because as we know, the Cancer very good with their history. So, you know, either way they choose, they make excellent writers, among other things. So it's not just that, but that's where I really see this combination flourishing, and even in music, because of songwriting, etc., like that. You know, excellent. You have the Cancerian writing the lyricist, but you'll have also the Dragon making it maybe commercially more accessible. So it's a great combination like that. So if we see them going through their early, you know, their early 20s, that sort of time. Now, we spoke about the Dragon's need to push on. You know, the Dragon can leave home at 16, 17, 18 and not look back. It's not that they don't love their parents or their siblings or anything like that, because the Dragon knows that their life path is somewhere else. It's they have to create their own life path. They're not even always going to take on the family business, because they want to create their own history, if you know what I mean. So the Cancer can be a little bit torn here. The Cancer Dragon can be a little bit torn, because the Cancers love their family, they love their siblings, they love their aunts, they love their uncles, but the Dragon's zest for succeeding and pushing to new areas will probably win over in the end. You know, the Cancer will probably phone home a bit more. You know, they keep phoning home and checking that everyone's okay, but ultimately they're going to be pushing on. They're going to be pushing on to somewhere new and forging their own, you know, life path. If we look at the Cancerian, with the promiscuity, when, you know, in the emotions, we have the motion swings. Yes, it's been known that they can sleep with somebody and a couple of days later say, oh my goodness, why did I do that? And I was in a bit of a low one. If they can be vulnerable, they're vulnerable at odd occasions through the month, as we spoke about. But the Dragon will look for something a little bit more solid. It's not that the Cancer doesn't want solidity, it's because they're so sensitive that they could be in a relationship with somebody, maybe in the early days, and they say the slightest thing, they go away harbouring it, and they think, right, screw you, boom, they're emotionally, and that's when they're vulnerable, and then they can end up sleeping a little bit around, which the dragon can harness it a bit in the sense of they're looking for the true one. They're thinking, right, if I'm going on this life path, I need to have that one behind me. Sometimes they go on that life path without actually meeting the one, but dragons aren't promiscuous, so it can calm the Cancerian down a bit, which is very helpful, because the Cancer tends to be like this in the early 20s, the early days. It can return in the 40s, possibly the 50s, where they have a bit of a renaissance and their emotions are flying about a bit more, comes to the change of life, or, you know, the menopause or whatever, so they can have a little bit of a regeneration and look to maybe rekindle those sort of years. But the dragon really does want stability, and when they do find the one, they want to stick to the one, and they have to have people that will listen to them, because, as I say, you know, this is a sign that's not backwards and coming forwards. They say when they're hurt, so it makes it a lot easier emotionally for their partner as well to say they know they've said the wrong thing. Sometimes with the Cancerians, you don't know you've said the wrong thing, and you hate it that you've hurt them, but you know, they just like them to open up a bit more with this one wheel. So if we look at perfect partners for the Cancer dragon, we really have to look for the rats, because the rats, they've got this security there. They've got this security, so the Cancer will appreciate that, and the dragon, for their new empires that they build and the quest they go on, they know that someone's going to be there right behind them, totally devoted rats as well, and, you know, accruing the money and putting it away safely and making a safe haven for where, you know, they can be themselves. So let's look for the rats under the signs of Taurus, Virgo, Scorpio and Pisces. All excellent matches. Also, we have to look for monkeys, because monkeys, fantastic company, as we know, and they will keep this combination bubbling along, and keep them, you know, interested, and there's going to be some great conversations. And the monkey likes change, as we know, so it wants to go with the dragon. It wants to see what the dragon finds out, the quests. They have some great quests together, and they are really, really great companions. So let's look for the Pisces monkey, the Taurus monkey, the Virgo monkey, and also the Scorpio monkey. All really, really fabulous combinations. The ones we've got to avoid are all dogs, really, especially for this Cancer, you know, this Cancer combination, because dogs, yes, they're quite forthright, but they're very quite pessimistic as well, very caring and loving, but they're quite pessimistic. So when there may be an air of the mood or something kicking in, or, you know, or when the Cancer dragon says, look, you've hurt my feelings, then the dog will then go insular. So then you're going to have a bit of a standoff where no one's really talking, you know, and that's going to just create, it's not a fighting conflict you're going to have, you're just going to have like a sulkiness, which, you know, the dragon and the dog, they don't really mix at all, and I don't advise it for this combination whatsoever either, even as, you know, easy going sometimes as a Cancer can be emotionally, and they're very understanding, but don't sometimes understand the dog's way of going about things, or why they get so pessimistic, when you basically got the dragon who's going, you know, I'm going to take over the world, and there's ultra optimism. So leave each other alone there. Okay, thank you for joining me for this issue, and please join me for the next one. Thank you.